Hey guys and gals, it's your buddy Drew with Living History's Mysteries and Ferocious Feline Productions. It's December again, and as with recent past years, we are going to do our Adopt a Family program for Christmas again. I have worked with local individuals to help me find 3 potential families that could possibly use help. They have fallen on hard times, not of their own doing, but usually it is a medical problem or something that's put the main breadwinner out of work, and they all have kids under the age of 12. And I think not only does it help to promote the channel, but it also helps a family in need. So we're taking donations on our PayPal right down here. Of course, there'll be a link also in the description, so we can help these families out and spread a little bit of Christmas spirit and Christmas joy. It's what it's all about. You never pass up a chance to do something good, because the good that you put out in the universe finds a way of coming back to you. That's it. Let's make this Christmas special. Y'all take care.
Oh no! I warned you.
I've done it again.
I warned you, but did you listen to me? Oh no, you knew it all, didn't you? Oh.
Hey guys and gals, it's your buddy Drew from Living History's Mysteries and Ferocious Feline Productions. You know, we often say on this channel that history is full of mistakes, it's full of errors, it's full of wrong decisions. Today is no different. You know, there have been some pretty catastrophic decisions made throughout history, and I figured I like to tell you guys about the weird and unusual. Don't get more weird and unusual than today. Check this out. This is good.
Today, we're not just talking about any decisions. We're talking about the worst decisions ever made in history. Yes, the kind of decisions that make you facepalm so hard you'll think you time traveled back to the Stone Age. So, grab your popcorn, settle in, and get ready to feel much better about every bad decision you've ever made. Because at least you didn't start World War I by assassinating an archduke. Or did you? The Trojan horse. Because who needs common sense? The Trojan horse. A tale as old as time and proof that sometimes curiosity doesn't just kill the cat, it wipes out an entire city. Let's paint the scene. The Greeks had been camped outside the walls of Troy for 10 long years. 10 years. You'd think after that long they'd either give up or at least get better at combat. But instead of doing either of those sensible things, they decided to build a giant wooden horse and leave it as a gift. Because apparently the Trojans were like, oh look, a huge, suspiciously well-crafted wooden horse left by our enemies. What could possibly go wrong? Spoiler alert, everything went wrong. The Trojans wheeled that horse into their city with all the enthusiasm of a kid getting a new toy. Yay! Inside, the Greek soldiers waited, likely giggling to themselves about how much this would blow up on social media if it were today. And when night fell, out popped the Greeks, who proceeded to burn the city to the ground. The lesson here? If your enemies leave you a gift, maybe don't accept it without checking for an expiration date or a hidden army. The Great Emu War, Australia's feathery fail. Now, let's fast forward a few thousand years to Australia in 1932, where the government decided to wage war against emus. Yes, you heard that right. Emus, those large, flightless birds that look like they're always late for an important meeting. The Great Emu War was born out of a genuine problem. Emus were destroying crops in Western Australia. So, the logical solution: send the military with machine guns to deal with the pesky birds. What could go wrong? Turns out, quite a lot. The emus, armed with nothing but bird brains and freakishly fast legs, managed to outmaneuver the soldiers. Despite several attempts and thousands of rounds of ammunition, the army failed to make a dent in the emu population. In the end, the humans had to retreat, defeated by birds that probably didn't even know they were in a war. And Australia? Well, they ended up installing fences to keep the emus out, proving once again that sometimes the simplest solutions are the best. Or, maybe just don't declare war on birds. Let's take a moment to appreciate one of the stickiest situations in history, the Boston molasses disaster of 1919. Now, molasses isn't exactly what comes to mind when you think of deadly disasters, but this sugary nightmare managed to claim 21 lives and injure 150 more. Here's how it went down. In Boston, a giant tank full of molasses, because apparently in 1919 you needed a lot of molasses, burst. Why? Because someone thought it was a good idea to fill a leaky tank with 2.3 million gallons of syrupy goodness on a warm January day. What followed was a 25-foot wave of molasses moving at 35 miles per hour, tearing through the streets of Boston like a sticky tsunami of doom. Buildings were flattened, cars were tossed around like toys, and people were trapped in a scene that sounds like it was plucked straight out of a horror movie directed by Willy Wonka. The moral of the story? If you ever find yourself responsible for a giant tank of molasses, maybe make sure it's not going to explode. And also, maybe question why you need that much molasses in the first place. The Spanish Inquisition, nobody expects. Such ineptitude. Now, let's talk about the Spanish Inquisition. You know, that cheerful little chapter in history when the Catholic Church decided it was time to root out heresy with all the subtlety of a bull in a china shop. The Inquisition is famous for its brutality, but what's less often discussed is how monumentally stupid it was. Picture this. You're trying to convince people of the love and mercy of God, and your method involves torture, public humiliation, and burning people at the stake. Because nothing says, we care about your soul, like setting you on fire. But here's the kicker. The Inquisition was so overzealous that it ended up targeting just about everyone. Jews, Muslims, Protestants, witches, people who looked at them funny, you name it. And while they were busy burning books and people, the rest of Europe was moving on with things like the Renaissance and the Enlightenment. The Inquisition didn't just fail at its mission, it also managed to make Spain a cultural and intellectual backwater for centuries. It's like the worst PR campaign in history, where instead of improving your image, you end up on everyone's do not visit list for a few hundred years. Next up, we have one of the most famous military blunders of all time, the Charge of the Light Brigade. This 1854 disaster during the Crimean War is the ultimate case of miscommunication on the battlefield. The British Light Brigade, known for their speed and mobility, was ordered to charge straight into a heavily fortified Russian artillery position. Imagine being told to run headfirst into a wall of cannons while on horseback. No, really, just imagine it. Despite the fact that it was clearly a suicide mission, the Light Brigade charged. They were slaughtered, of course, but they did it with such style that the whole thing became legendary. Tennyson even wrote a poem about it, which is nice and all, but probably not much comfort to the poor soldiers who had to ride into that death trap. The moral here? If you're in the military and you get an order that sounds like it was devised by a lunatic, maybe double check it before charging in. Or, just have a long lunch break until the order gets canceled. The Donner Party, a story that puts the grim in grim history. In 1846, a group of pioneers decided to take a shortcut to California. Because when has taking a shortcut ever gone wrong? This particular shortcut led them into the Sierra Nevada mountains, where they got stuck in the snow for months. With no food and dwindling supplies, the situation quickly turned desperate. And by desperate, I mean they started eating each other. Yes, folks, the Donner Party resorted to cannibalism to survive. It's the ultimate dark comedy, a group of people trying to make it to sunny California, but ending up in the world's worst dinner party. The irony is that if they'd just stuck to the original route, they would have arrived safely. But no, someone had to play Lewis and Clark and blaze a new trail. Straight into a frozen hellscape. The Donner Party's story is a tragic reminder that sometimes the long way around is the best way around. And maybe pack a few extra sandwiches if you're heading into the wilderness. Finally, let's end our tour of terrible decisions with the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. Now, you might be thinking, but that was a natural disaster, not a bad decision. Oh, but it was, because people had been warned. Yes, the Romans living in Pompeii had plenty of signs that their local mountain was about to blow. There were earthquakes, strange noises, and a column of smoke rising from Vesuvius that probably looked like the world's angriest cloud. But what did the residents of Pompeii do? They shrugged and went back to their daily lives, which for many included a nice day at the beach. You can almost imagine the conversations. Hey, is that mountain supposed to be smoking like that? Hey, it's probably nothing. Pass me another glass of wine. When Vesuvius finally erupted, it buried the city in ash and pumice, preserving the moment in history like a giant volcanic time capsule. The people of Pompeii might not have seen it coming, but the rest of us sure did. The moral of this story? When your local volcano starts acting up, maybe cancel your beach plans and get out of Dodge. When bad decisions become great stories. And there you have it, folks. A whirlwind tour through some of history's most hilariously disastrous decisions. If you ever feel like you've messed up, just remember, at least you didn't lose a war to emus or get buried alive by a volcano. So next time you're about to make a questionable decision, think back to these historical mishaps and take comfort in the fact that even the greats of history weren't immune to monumental blunders. Bad decisions might not always lead to glory, but they do make for some incredible stories. And that's what history is really all about.
Welcome back. It's like I was saying in the beginning. Often when we go back and look through history, we find all kinds of situations that, as a more civilized race, we probably would have done different. Even within the last 150 years, there's still things that we probably wouldn't have done the same way. But Mark Twain once said that good decisions come from experience, and experience comes from bad decisions. situations like we just looked at, that quote couldn't be any truer. I hope you enjoyed this look at some really bad historic decisions. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you. God love you. We do. And we'll see you in history. Hey, guys and gals, it's your buddy Drew from Living History's Mysteries and Ferocious Feline Productions. You know, we often say on this channel that history is full of